على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما يا عليم. اللهم اغفر لنا ذنوبنا وإسرافنا في أمرنا وثبت أقدامنا وانصرنا على القوم الكافرين. Today we'll be reading juz' number 12, inshallah. We'll read the first 10 pages of the juz'. And it basically, most of the juz' will be in Surah Hud alayhi salam, and part of it will be in Surah Yousuf alayhi salam. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وما من دابة في الأرض إلا على الله رزقها ويعلم مستقرها ومستودعها كل في كتاب مبين. وهو الذي خلق السماوات والأرض في 6 أيام وكان عرشه على الماء ليبلوكم أيكم أحسن عملا ولئن قلت إنكم مبعوثون من بعد الموت ليقولن الذين كفروا إن هذا إلا سحر مبين. ولئن أخرنا عنهم العذاب إلى أمة معدودة ليقولن ما يحبسه ألا يوم يأتيهم ليس مصروفا عنهم وحاق بهم ما كانوا به يستهزئون. ولئن أذقنا الإنسان منا رحمة ثم نزعناها منه إنه ليئوس كفور. ولئن أذقناه نعماء بعد ضراء مسته ليقولن ذهب السيئات عني إنه لفرح فخور. إلا الذين صبروا وعملوا الصالحات أولئك لهم مغفرة وأجر كبير. فلعلك تارك بعض ما يوحى إليك وضائق به صدرك أن يقولوا لولا أنزل عليه كنز أو جاء معه ملك إنما أنت نذير والله على كل شيء وكيل. أم يقولون افتراه قل فأتوا بعشر سور مثله مفتريات وادعوا من استطعتم من دون الله إن كنتم صادقين. فإن لم يستجيبوا لكم فاعلموا أنما أنزل بعلم الله وأن لا إله إلا هو فهل أنتم مسلمون. من كان يريد الحياة الدنيا وزينتها نوفي إليهم أعمالهم فيها وهم فيها لا يبخسون. أولئك الذين ليس لهم في الآخرة إلا النار وحبط ما صنعوا فيها وباطل ما كانوا يعملون. أفمن كان على بينة من ربه ويتلوه شاهد منه ومن قبله كتاب موسى إماما ورحمة أولئك يؤمنون به ومن يكفر به من الأحزاب فالنار موعده فلا تك في مرية منه إنه الحق من ربك ولكن أكثر الناس لا يؤمنون. ومن أظلم ممن افترى على الله كذبا أولئك يعرضون على ربهم ويقول الأشهاد هؤلاء الذين كذبوا على ربهم ألا لعنة الله على الظالمين الذين يصدون عن سبيل الله ويبغونها عوجا وهم بالآخرة هم كافرون. أولئك لم يكونوا معجزين في الأرض وما كان لهم من دون الله من أولياء يضاعف لهم العذاب ما كانوا يستطيعون السمع وما كانوا يبصرون. أولئك الذين خسروا أنفسهم وضل عنهم ما كانوا يفترون. لا جرم أنهم في الآخرة هم الأخسرون. إن الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وأخبتوا إلى ربهم أولئك أصحاب الجنة هم فيها خالدون. مثل الفريقين كالأعمى والأصم والبصير والسميع هل يستويان مثلا أفلا تذكرون. ولقد أرسلنا نوحا إلى قومه إني لكم نذير مبين ألا تعبدوا إلا الله إني أخاف عليكم عذاب يوم أليم. فقال الملأ الذين كفروا من قومه ما نراك إلا بشرا مثلنا وما نراك اتبعك إلا الذين هم أراذلنا بادي الرأي وما نرى لكم علينا من فضل وما نرى لكم علينا من فضل بل نظنكم كاذبين. قال يا قوم أرأيتم إن كنت على بينة من ربي وآتاني رحمة من عنده فعميت عليكم أنلزمكموها وأنتم لها كارهون. ويا قوم لا أسألكم عليه مالا إن أجري إلا على الله وما أنا بطارد الذين آمنوا إنهم ملاقو ربهم ولكني أراكم قوما تجهلون. ويا قوم من ينصرني من الله إن طردتهم أفلا تذكرون. ولا أقول لكم عندي خزائن الله ولا أعلم الغيب ولا أقول إني ملك ولا أقول للذين تزدري أعينكم لن يؤتيهم الله خيرا الله أعلم بما في أنفسهم إني إذا لمن الظالمين. قالوا يا نوح قد جادلتنا فأكثرت جدالنا فأتنا بما تعدنا إن كنت من الصادقين. قال إنما يأتيكم به الله إن شاء وما أنتم بمعجزين. ولا ينفعكم نصحي إن أردت أن أنصح لكم إن كان الله يريد أن يغويكم هو ربكم وإليه ترجعون. أم يقولون افتراه قل إن افتريته فعلي إجرامي وأنا بريء مما تجرمون. وأوحي إلى نوح أنه لن يؤمن من قومك إلا من قد آمن فلا تبتئس بما كانوا يفعلون. واصنع الفلك بأعيننا ووحينا ولا تخاطبني في الذين ظلموا إنهم مغرقون. ويصنع الفلك وكلما مر عليه ملأ من قومه سخروا منه قال إن تسخروا منا فإنا نسخر منكم كما تسخرون. فسوف تعلمون من يأتيه عذاب يخزيه ويحل عليه عذاب مقيم. حتى إذا جاء أمرنا وفار التنور. قل نحمل فيها من كل زوجين اثنين وأهلك إلا من سبق عليه القول وما آمن معه إلا قليل. وقال اركبوا فيها بسم الله مجريها ومرساها إن ربي لغفور رحيم. وهي تجري بهم في موج كالجبال ونادى نوح ابنه وكان في معزل يا بني اركب معنا ولا تكن مع الكافرين. قال سآوي إلى جبل يعصمني من الماء قال لا عاصم اليوم من أمر الله إلا من رحم وحال بينهما الموج فكان من المغرقين. وقيل يا أرض ابلعي ماءك ويا سماء أقلعي وغيض الماء وقضي الأمر واستوت على الجود وقيل بعدا للقوم الظالمين. ونادى نوح ربه فقال رب إن ابني من أهلي وإن وعدك الحق وأنت أحكم الحاكمين. قال يا نوح إنه ليس من أهلك إنه عمل غير صالح فلا تسألني ما ليس لك به علم إني أعظك أن تكون من الجاهلين. قال رب إني أعوذ بك أن أسألك ما ليس لي به علم وإلا تغفر لي وترحمني أكن من الخاسرين. قيل يا نوح اهبط بسلام منا وبركات عليك وعلى ممن معك وأمم سنمتعهم ثم يمسهم منا عذاب أليم. تلك من أنباء الغيب نوحيها إليك ما كنت تعلمها أنت ولا قومك من قبل هذا فاصبر إن العاقبة للمتقين. وإلى عاد أخاهم هودا قال يا قوم اعبدوا الله ما لكم من إله غيره إن أنتم إلا مفترون. يا قوم لا أسألكم عليه أجرا إن أجري إلا على الذي فطرني أفلا تتقون. إن أجري إلا على الذي فطرني أفلا تعقلون. ويا قوم استغفروا ربكم ثم توبوا إليه يرسل السماء عليكم مدرارا ويزدكم قوة إلى قوتكم ولا تتولوا مجرمين. قالوا يا هود ما جئتنا ببينة وما نحن بتاركي آلهتنا عن قولك وما نحن لك بمؤمنين إن نقول إلا اعتراك بعض آلهتنا بسوء قال إني أشهد الله واشهدوا أني بريء مما تشركون من دونه فكيدوني جميعا ثم لا تنظرون. إني توكلت على الله ربي وربكم ما من دابة إلا هو آخذ بناصيتها إن ربي على صراط مستقيم فإن تولوا فقد أبلغتكم ما أرسلت به إليكم ويستخلف ربي قوما غيركم ولا تضرونه شيئا إن ربي على كل شيء حفيظ ولما جاء أمرنا نجينا هودا والذين آمنوا معه برحمة منا ونجيناهم من عذاب غليظ وتلك عاد جحدوا بآيات ربهم وعصوا رسله واتبعوا أمر كل جبار عنيد وأتبعوا في هذه الدنيا لعنة ويوم القيامة ألا إن عادا كفروا ربهم ألا بعدا لعاد قوم هود وإلى ثمود أخاهم صالحا قال يا قوم اعبدوا الله ما لكم من إله غيره هو أنشأكم من الأرض واستعمركم فيها فاستغفروه ثم توبوا إليه إن ربي قريب مجيب قالوا يا صالح قد كنت فينا مرجوا قبل هذا أتنهانا أن نعبد ما يعبد آباؤنا وإننا لفي شك مما تدعونا إليه مريب قال يا قوم أرأيتم إن كنت على بينة من ربي وآتاني منه رحمة فمن ينصرني من الله إن عصيته فما تزيدونني غير تخسير ويا قوم هذه ناقة الله لكم آية فذروها تأكل في أرض الله ولا تمسوها بسوء فيأخذكم عذاب قريب فعقروها فقال تمتعوا في داركم 3 أيام ذلك وعد غير مكذوب فلما جاء أمرنا نجينا صالحا والذين آمنوا معه برحمة منا ومن خزي يومئذ إن ربك هو القوي العزيز وأخذ الذين ظلموا الصيحة فأصبحوا في ديارهم جاثمين كأن لم يغنوا فيها ألا إن ثمودا كفروا ربهم ألا بعدا لثمود ولقد جاءت رسلنا إبراهيم بالبشرى قالوا سلاما قال سلام فما لبث أن جاء بعجل حنيذ فلما رأى أيديهم لا تصل إليه نكرهم وأوجس منهم خيفة قالوا لا تخف إنا أرسلنا إلى قوم لوط وامرأته قائمة فضحكت فبشرناها بإسحاق ومن وراء إسحاق يعقوب قالت يا ويلتى أألد وأنا عجوز وهذا بعلي شيخا إن هذا لشيء عجيب قالوا أتعجبين من أمر الله رحمة الله وبركاته عليكم أهل البيت إنه حميد مجيد فلما ذهب عن إبراهيم الروع وجاءته البشرى يجادلنا في قوم لوط إن إبراهيم لحليم أواه منيب يا إبراهيم أعرض عن هذا إنه قد جاء أمر ربك وإنهم آتيهم عذاب غير مردود ولما جاءت رسلنا لوطا سيء بهم وضاق بهم ذرعا وقال هذا يوم عصيب وجاءه قومه يهرعون إليه ومن قبل كانوا يعملون السيئات قال يا قوم هؤلاء بناتي هن أطهر لكم فاتقوا الله ولا تخزون في ضيفي أليس منكم رجل رشيد قالوا لقد علمت ما لنا في بناتك من حق وإنك لتعلم ما نريد قال لو أن لي بكم قوة أو آوي إلى ركن شديد قالوا يا لوط إنا رسل ربك لن يصلوا إليك فأسر بأهلك بقطع من الليل ولا يلتفت منكم أحد إلا امرأتك إنه مصيبها ما أصابهم إن موعدهم الصبح أليس الصبح بقريب فلما جاء أمرنا جعلنا عاليها سافلها وأمطرنا عليها حجارة من سجيل منضود مسومة عند ربك وما هي من الظالمين ببعيد. صدق الله العظيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. So the rest of Surah Hud alayhi salam from ayah number 84 all the way to the end of the ayah 123. Then the beginning of Surah Yousuf until ayah number 52 will be what's left for the juz'u, inshallah, to be read today in Taraweeh or later tomorrow, inshallah. To go over Surah Hud, which is what we read today, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala started the surah as the Quran style in many of the surah is to start talking about the Quran itself, how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has completed the meanings of the ayat and how he put them in a very different style, a style that was not known before. Although it's compatible with the rules of language, the Arabic language that the people of Quraysh knew, but it has a certain rhythm to it that was never in any other books or any of the poems of the Arabs that they used to talk about before. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the first ayah, he tells them that, saying, Alif Lam Ra kitabun uhkimat ayatuhu thumma fussilat. So all of this details, all of the details that's in the Quran, all of this completeness in the ayat comes because it's min ladun hakimin khabir, because it comes from the most wise and the most knowledgeable, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then in the surah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala starts as the usual way in any Mecca Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will tell them orders for them that they're supposed to follow, how to believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and how to believe in the day of judgment. And then he gives them a few examples how any animal, anything that's living in this earth, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala provides for them, and he knows the ins and outs of what comes inside the earth and what comes out of it. Then the surah starts by giving examples of the nations beforehand. And it starts from Nuh alayhi salam. As we know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created Adam, then Adam came down to earth, and he invited, that time it was only him and his kids. So everybody believed in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But then a few hundred years later, about 1,000, or some narrations say more than that, then Shaitan played with the hearts of humans, and then he was able to lead them astray. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent the first messenger, who was Nuh alayhi salam. And Nuh alayhi salam invited to the way of Allah for many hundred years, 950 years, to a point where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told them that nobody else from your people will believe. Now, the people of Nuh alayhi salam, their excuse was, they said in ayah number 27, فَقَالَ الْمَلَأُ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا مِنْ قَوْمِهِ مَا نَرَاكَ إِلَّا بَشَرًا مِثْلَنَا. So they told Nuh that, how would we believe in you, and you're not an angel, you're just a human like us. وَمَا نَرَاكَ اتَّبَعَكَ إِلَّا الَّذِينَ هُمْ أَرَاذِلُنَا بَادِيَ الرَّأْيِ. And the people that followed you are not from the elite amongst our community. It's from the poor, the hungry. Those are the people that followed you, and those have no favor upon us, so how would we follow you? So that was their argument, and he kept inviting them to the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with his destiny, was that everybody will die from people that were alive at that time, except for the people that believed in Nuh alayhi salam. So they went with him in the ship, and they were about 80 people or so, and everybody else died, including Nuh alayhi salam's son, right? So that ship then started going over the water until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala وَغِيضَ الْمَاءُ وَاسْتَوَتْ عَلَى الْجُودِ, until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's order was for the skies to stop raining, for the earth to get to dry out all the water. And then the ship went down on a mountain called the Judi, which a lot of people say it's in Iraq area, close to Nainawa. And from that mountain, the second life started. So everybody, the first father of humanity is Adam alayhi salam. The second father of humanity is Nuh. Even the people with Nuh alayhi salam, those 80 people that were with him, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَجَعَلْنَا ذُرِّيَّتَهُ هُمُ الْبَاقِينَ. We kept the offspring of Nuh alayhi salam only as the people that stayed after that, meaning that the 80 people that came after, maybe they had one generation afterwards, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala stopped their offspring. It did not continue. What came after that, what's present now, everybody present now, alive now, is from the offspring of Sayyidina Nuh alayhi salam. Then few hundred years after that, and then it's interesting, in Surah Hud, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts the order in a chronological way. So it starts with Nuh, and then a few hundred years after Nuh alayhi salam, the people that stayed with Nuh or from his offspring, couple generations later, there was a man called Ad, from the people that were in the Judi, were in Bilad al-Rafidin, in Iraq area. He decided to travel and leave that area, went down south after the Arabian Peninsula. He went down to a place called Al-Ahqaf. That place is in Oman area, between Oman and Yemen. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, واذكر أخا عاد إذ أنذر قومه بالأحقاف وقد خلقت النذر من بين يديه ومن خلفه ألا تعبدوا إلا الله إني أخاف عليكم عذاب يوم عظيم. So Al-Ahqaf was that area, and historians, they say that there were two generations of those people that lived in the Ahqaf. The first generation, or the first part of Ad, so Ad himself traveled with his family, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave barakah in their offspring. They ended up being few tribes, and then they ended up making cities, basically. So one of the leaders of Ad was, his name was Iram Dhat al-Imad. So that was a leader, and that was the first part of Ad. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they went away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's path, and Allah destroyed them, but not all of Ad at that point. So then the second portion of Ad, which is also a few generations after the first one, those are the people that Allah sent to them Hud alayhi salam. And it's narrated that Nuh, when he was on the Judi, in that mountain and only few people were around him. He was warning people at that time that, a few hundred years later, people will leave the way of Allah the same way how we left the way of Adam alayhi salam. And people will start worshiping idols and worshiping moon and sun and so on and so forth. And remember that there will be a prophet that comes, and he told them that in the narration, he told them that his name will be Hud, and you have to believe in him. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's destinies go, and who, those people of Ad, the only thing they were very strong. It's in their body, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given them very, very strong bodies, very tall. They say every one of them, it will be close to the length of the palm tree. And they're very strong. They started thinking, everybody you start getting those smart people in the cities, and they will tell you, oh, what happened to the people of Nuh was a natural disaster, and for us, we're going to have to avoid something like that from happening. So their smartness, and they were very strong, and Allah gave him good mind. But so what they decided, they said, we're going to take the mountains, make pillars, huge pillars, and each one as tall as a mountain, and we'll build our houses on top of those pillars. So they made them really high, and they made them very strong in those huge pillars, saying that, technologically they were advanced apparently to be able to do that. And they said, oh, if another flooding is coming, it's not going to affect us. We're very high. Nothing is going to happen to us. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent Hud alayhi salam to them to invite them in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They followed the same path as the people of Nuh. They said, you're just a human. That's number one. And then they told them, oh, he didn't give us really a sign from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that something is going to happen. And Hud alayhi salam was very well known to be very dependent, has great tawakkul on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He says, إِنِّي تَوَكَّلْتُ عَلَى اللَّهِ رَبِّي وَرَبِّكُمْ مَا مِن دَابَّةٍ إِلَّا هُوَ آخِذٌ بِنَاصِيَتِهَا إِنَّ رَبِّي عَلَى صِرَاطٍ مُسْتَقِيمٍ. So he depends on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in all of his ways, and he invited them in the right way. Even when they said, قَالُوا أَجِئْتَنَا لِتَأْفِكَنَا عَنْ آلِهَتِنَا فَأْتِنَا بِمَا تَعِدُنَا إِن كُنْتَ مِنَ الصَّادِقِينَ. So they tried to push him basically to make dua, to see if really anything will come from his dua, if there is any punishment that will come down. He won't even say it. Hud alayhi salam would always say, قَالَ إِنَّمَا يَأْتِيكُمْ بِهِ اللَّهُ إِنْ شَاءَ. So he leaves it to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He did not want to make dua on them. But with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's destiny, again, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent rihan sarsaran. He sent a very strong wind. Even from the strength and how strong it was, you will hear sarir, it's called. You hear like a sound of things ripping against each other from how strong the wind was in 7 days, and that destroyed them completely. And then after them chronologically comes, and again in the surah, comes Thamud. And they were also, Thamud was from the people that used to live in the Judi with Nuh alayhi salam. They left that area and then went to a place in between in current days in the city called Hijr, which is an area between Jordan and Saudi Arabia. Prophet ﷺ used to, when he passed by that area going in trade or going for battles, he used to say that this is a place of punishment, and he was recommending people to go very fast in the area where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's wrath was coming. He didn't want people to go slow in that area. Same thing, so Thamud, they in their mind, after they were a great tribe with a huge knowledge that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to them a few hundred years after Ad, after the tribe of Ad, then they're like, okay, well, Nuh, what happened to him? Again, it's a natural disaster, and it was flooding. And then the people of Ad, it was very, very strong winds, and it was also a natural disaster. So we're going to just have to be even smarter. So they decided to dig inside huge rocks, inside the mountains, and make their beautiful houses inside those mountains. And they made the houses in a way that they can be completely closed, 100% closed inside the mountain. So if there is a flooding coming, that they can close it to them. If there's huge, if there will be a very strong wind, it will be the same thing. And they didn't think the way how Hud invited people before. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then sent them Salih. And as the people of Ad, when they talked to Hud alayhi salam, they said, you did not send us a sign, or you did not give us a strong sign. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted them to have a sign. So as they were very smart and good in digging inside and making houses inside the rocks, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, their sign was to create a camel in front of them with its calf to come. Both of them, they came in front of them from a solid rock. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told them, this camel will have a day to drink, and you guys are not supposed to get close to them, and then you'll have another day for you to drink there. Subhanallah, and they said it's initially they divided, so there were a big group of people that followed Salih after they saw the sign, and others that didn't follow. And then the people that didn't follow, eventually they killed the naqa, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent them, gave them a warning for 3 days, and eventually sent them the punishment, which was a sayha. It was like a sa'iqa, a very huge noise, a very huge sound that killed them all, except for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will. And then the surah will talk about Sayyidina Ibrahim. We'll give examples. We'll talk about Lut alayhi salam and the people of Lut. We'll talk about Shu'aib alayhi salam and his people. Then it will talk about a little bit, just briefly, about Musa alayhi salam. Then after all of this, then the surah, in ayah number 100, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, ذَلِكَ مِنْ أَنْبَاءِ الْقُرَى نَقُصُّهُ عَلَيْكَ مِنْهَا قَائِمٌ وَحَصِيدٌ. Those are stories that we tell you. You didn't know about it if it wasn't us telling you about what happened to them. And then he says, in what you heard in this surah is a sign for you and for your people, لِمَنْ خَافَ عَذَابَ الْآخِرَةِ. Because if you saw the punishment that came to those people in dunya, then the punishment of akhirah, that would be a witness day. That's meaning that it's a day that's even more dangerous than those days that passed. وَمَا نُؤَخِّرُهُ إِلَّا لِأَجَلٍ مَعْدُودٍ يَوْمَ يَأْتِ لَا تَكَلَّمُ نَفْسٌ إِلَّا بِإِذْنِهِ. That day when it comes, وَخَشَعَتِ الْأَصْوَاتُ لِلرَّحْمَنِ فَلَا تَسْمَعُ إِلَّا هَمْسًا. Nobody will talk in that day, except everybody, they whisper if they whisper, and nobody talks except if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted them to talk. So people of Quraysh, they used to say that the idols will intercede for us at the day of judgment. But this surah goes against that. This ayah here telling them that لا تكلم نفس إلا بإذنه. Nobody will be able to intercede. Nobody will be able to say a word except with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's will. فأما الذين شقوا, those that didn't follow orders, they will be in the hellfire. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave a very difficult example. Even they're in the hellfire, staying there all the time, and even their habitual things that they do every time and we don't even be paying attention to, inspiration and expiration, zafirun wa shahiq, even that comes with fire. You breathe in fire and what comes out is fire. So that's how difficult that day will be. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives him an example. Now your ummah tells the Prophet ﷺ that this is not going to happen to your ummah, punishment like what happened to Ad and Thamud and Lut and Sayyidina Shu'aib people. So that won't happen, because he said, وَلَقَدْ آتَيْنَا مُوسَى الْكِتَابَ فَاخْتُلِفَ فِيهِ. So the people of Musa, they also did not believe, and they also made a lot of tricks. But وَلَوْلَا كَلِمَةٌ سَبَقَتْ مِنْ رَبِّكَ لَقُضِيَ بَيْنَهُمْ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala could have sent a punishment to the people of Musa, but it's already in the Lawh al-Mahfuz. It was written that the people of the sons of Yaqub, the sons of Israel, will stay until a certain time, which we know from the signs of the Day of Judgment. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala directs the speech to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and those are the two main ayahs in the surah. He says, فَاسْتَقِمْ كَمَا أُمِرْتَ وَمَنْ تَابَ مَعَكَ. So the order from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the Prophet is to stay on the straight path, istaqim, to be straight. كما أمرت, as you were ordered, ومن تاب معك, and those people that left shirk and came with you, ولا تطغوا, and don't increase, don't go in to the very far to the left, and don't go very far to the right from the straight path. ولا تطغوا إنه بما تعملون بصير ولا تركنوا إلى الذين ظلموا فتمسكم النار. And don't be like the people that the other people that did not believe. Don't follow their path, don't follow their trend, don't follow their habits and their traditions. فتمسكم النار, otherwise you will be touched by hellfire like they will be. وما لكم من دون الله من أولياء. Al-Hasan al-Basri, when he reads those two ayahs, he says Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's religion is summarized in this between two laws. First, ولا تطغوا إنه بما تعملون بصير, and second, ولا تركنوا إلى الذين ظلموا. So don't go very far to the left and don't go very far to the right. استقم كما أمرت. And then after this ayah was revealed, after the surah of Sayyidina Surah Hud alayhi salam was revealed, Abu Bakr as-Siddiq was looking at the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and he started seeing some gray hair coming on his beard, or in his head as well. In the narrations, they say the Prophet ﷺ, even all the way to the time of his death, that he didn't really have, most of his hair was black. He had only the majority, between 13 to 20 gray hairs only. So when Abu Bakr as-Siddiq saw the gray hair coming to on Prophet ﷺ's face, he asked him what happened. He said, "Shayyabatni Hud." So he said, this gray hair is from the effects of reading and listening to Surah Hud alayhi salam, this surah. And there's another narration that شَيَّبَتْنِي هُودٌ وَأَخَوَاتُهَا. Hud, this surah, Surah Hud, and its sisters. And in that narration, they say the sisters of Surah Hud are Al-Waqi'ah, Al-Mursalat, Surah Al-Naba, وَإِذَا الشَّمْسُ كُوِّرَتْ. Those four surah are Hud, and then Hud is number 5. So those are called Hudun wa akhawatuha. Why did the Prophet ﷺ's hair turn gray, or some of it turned gray with those surah? Because they start with the punishment that happened to the nations before, and it ends with a punishment that would be to the people that don't follow the orders in the day of judgment and in the akhirah. So because of those two type of punishments, Prophet ﷺ, with his mercy to his ummah, he always used to think about the people of Quraysh and people of the ummah that will come after him, and how they can be exposed to a punishment like this. And because of that thinking, his hair, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, turned gray. The last ayah, or in the very end, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَكُلًّا نَقُصُّ عَلَيْكَ مِنْ أَنْبَاءِ الرُّسُلِ مَا نُثَبِّتُ بِهِ فُؤَادَكَ. Those stories that we've told you in this surah, the point of them is when you tell people about what happened to the nations before, and they think about how those people thought, and they thought that they're very smart, and they thought of ways to avoid natural disasters, and they didn't think about it in the way how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted them to take lessons from them. Instead, they wanted to find other ways basically to avoid it. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala always has different plan. Whatever they can come up with, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can come up with a different plan. So the point of them is to support the hearts of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. ما نثبت به فؤادك وجاءك في هذه الحق. And what came in this surah, هذه here means this surah. What came to you in this surah is truth, and all the Quran is truth. وموعظة, and it's a lesson for us. وذكرى, something to remember, something to reflect upon for the believers. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم فيا فوز المستغفرين أستغفر الله. I will tell you about the winners from the session, from yesterday's session. MashaAllah, we had really good answers. MashaAllah, and all answers were beautiful. I'll give many thanks to Rimsha Ajmal and Shanzay Bashir and Abdullah Bashir. And forgive me if I'm not pronouncing the name right. There are two answers were very impressive by Majid and Faizan. They're very deep, and they you just read them and you can tell that they're, subhanAllah, have a great understanding. Jazakumullah khairan, all of them. And then the winner, inshallah, will be ours, Ali, inshallah. Congratulations to them all. The question for this session will be that in the narration, in the hadith, that Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu came to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and he saw that he had some gray hair, and he asked the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what's the reason for the gray hair? Why did your hair turn gray? And the answer was that there are few surahs in the Quran, there are 5, that the Prophet ﷺ said those 5 surahs made his hair turn gray. So if you could mention what surahs are these, and then tell me the reason why, what's special in those surah that if you read it and understand it and think about it and reflect upon it, it could turn like it did to the Prophet, somebody's hair into gray. Jazakumullah khairan, and we'll see you in the next session, inshallah. اللهم اغفر للمؤمنين والمؤمنات المسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات إنك يا مولانا سميع قريب مجيب الدعوات. اللهم اغفر لنا ذنوبنا وإسرافنا في أمرنا وثبت أقدامنا وانصرنا على القوم الكافرين. اللهم إنا نسألك حبك وحب من يحبك وحب عمل يقربنا إلى حبك يا رب العالمين. اللهم اقسم لنا من خشيتك ما تحول به بيننا وبين معصيتك، ومن طاعتك ما تبلغنا به جنتك، ومن اليقين ما تهون به علينا مصائب الدنيا والآخرة، ومتعنا اللهم بأسماعنا وأبصارنا وقواتنا ما أحييتنا، واجعله الوارث منا، واجعل ثأرنا على من ظلمنا، ولا تجعل الدنيا أكبر همنا ولا مبلغ علمنا يا رب العالمين. اللهم أجرنا من النار، اللهم أجرنا من النار، اللهم أجرنا من النار. اللهم إنا نسألك رضاك والجنة، ونعوذ بك من سخطك وعذابك وعقابك ومن النار. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. آمين اللهم آمين، والحمد لله رب العالمين. وصل يا رب على سيدنا محمد النبي الأمي وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين.